Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Talent Vibes. Let's talk it out, an OCBS initiative. So today, I'm very happy to have one of my ex-colleague on the show, and his name is Shantesh Patil. He's a HR professional. He's a seasoned HR professional, I must say, and he has around 13 years of experience specializing in employee relations, talent management, global HR business partnering, and change management. He's had the privilege of working with leading organizations like the Tatas, Cognizant, Infosys, and Wipro. Currently, he is with Wipro as Associate Director HR, where he leads change management and the People Director portfolio. Raised in the beautiful land of Goa, Shantesh has also been involved in soft skills training through the government of Goa. Outside of his professional life, he is a passionate driver, an avid traveler, and an adventure enthusiast. When given an opportunity on stage, he makes a mark for himself. And I'm sure today also he will make that mark for this podcast. So let's welcome Shantesh. Shantesh, welcome on the show, and this is a small gift from us
Thank
as a
you.
token of appreciation and love
Thank you so much, Deepa.
from City Mali Gardening Solutions Private Limited.
Amazing.
So Shantesh, to tell you more about City Mali Gardening Solutions Private Limited, it is a Pune-based firm and they're into corporate gifting, plant rentals and garden management services as well.
That's nice.
So they provide services to your homes also and to corporates as well. So personally, I have taken the service and they're really good in this. So viewers who wish to avail the services can contact on these details. So Shantesh, there would be total 5 segments in the podcast and we would like to start with the early career phase. So we would like to know more about how the journey started, and today you are working as associate director, but what the journey was all about, what were the challenges that you faced, and how you grew in your career so much in such a short span of 13 years.
So, Deepa, first of all, thank you for having me on this podcast. And I hope that this podcast will be helpful to those who are aspiring to get into the field of HR and to those who are already in the field of HR as well. But to start with, I never planned to be in HR, frankly, because as I was going through my primary education, I never had a plan as to, what really do I want to do in my life? What is it that I want to get into field of, right? And having two siblings had that added pressure as to what do you want to really become, because both my elder sisters were quite established in their studies. The elder sister took science and the other one took commerce, and I already had this fear as to science is too much of a study, commerce is too much of numbers, so what's in it for me really? And I actually took up that mentality wherein you would look at others. Okay, what are others doing? And when I looked at my peers and my relatives, I figured out one of the persons was actually getting into engineering, more like a diploma kind of a thing. And I thought, okay, let me see if there is a scope for me to get into that field. So I ended up taking electronics as my elective post the 11th standard. But as I got into that, I realized that transistors, resistors are not my cup of tea, and I really struggled in the practicals. And there came in a point in time where my father really got worried, what is he really going to do in his life? So he put me into career coaching. There was a lot of counseling that happened. I went into a lot of psychometric tests. I answered a lot of aptitude tests, and post that there was an assessment that came across, and it gave two options. Either I could go for a BCA or a BBA. And I thought, let me sort of take BBA. Now, one of the reasons why I took up that career was because of this organization that I had got attached to, which was Junior Chamber International. Through that organization, I got an opportunity to get exposure to learning and development. And when I sort of figured out where does this learning and development really fit into, so it fit into the HR scope. That's when I started learning about management courses, about BBA, and after that MBA. So that's how I sort of landed. But even though when I was taking MBA, there was always two thoughts in my mind. I used to always say jokingly that marketing is my first love, and everybody thought that this guy is going to get into marketing. But pretty much against everybody's opinion, I went into HR because by then I had made a mind as to what do I really want to do. And I think looking back 13 years down the line, I think I'm proud of myself of the journey that's been throughout in the HR career.
Amazing. It's so interesting to know about your journey and how you started. So after you started TBSS, right, with Tata BSS?
That's right.
So how your journey had been through different organizations, and can you tell us more about that journey?
I think one of the defining moments for me was during the MBA itself. when I was pursuing my MBA, and there is always a summer internship that you have to go through for 2 months, and I had seen a lot of my batchmates who were pretty much taking, casually in terms of what this summer internship is. It was almost like submitting a project, getting, quick view into the organization, and just getting that marks sort of, just to clear out the way of the entire summer internship. But contrary to that, because I had an exposure to this organization called as Junior Chamber International, I got referred to one of the marquee organizations called as Seza Goa Limited, wherein I came across this leader called as Mr. Odela Satyanarayan Rao, who I met on the day one of my internship. And the first day itself, he said that, don't sit, start filing papers. And imagine somebody who's wearing, nice suits in the college, thinking that, okay, I'm getting into the management field, my salary will be X. All of a sudden, you're in an office filing papers. And 2 days in a constant time, you only do, end up doing that. And you're frustrated. What am I even doing? But over the period of time, I realized that the first learning that I had got from my internship was essentially to maintain employees' documents. Post that, I got exposed to various facets of HR. That is something that defined my career. And when I appeared for my first interview in Tata Business Support Services, my hiring manager, Sapna ma'am, she made this statement saying that, I don't think so, you're somebody who's a fresher. You definitely sound somebody like an experienced person. So I think a lot of credit goes to Seza Goa Limited, to Mr. Odela Satyanarayan Rao, to giving me that experience while I was pursuing MBA. So from that moment onwards, it has been a journey which was upward looking. After Tata Business Support Services, I got an opportunity to work with Cognizant. From there, it was Infosys and Wipro. Things kept on happening. I would say, I was up for the opportunity wherever there was a chance, and I was, up for any battle that came across my way, and I'm proud of those decisions that I made.
Amazing. So that's really an amazing journey, Shantesh, I must say. And I really appreciate the fact that you still remember their names, you mention their names, and you remember all the minute details, and you still acknowledge their contributions. So what you said is, I agree with you that during our initial jobs or during internships, the tasks that we used to do were probably not very important, but what is more important is the lessons learned. So for example, from filing also you got to know that, okay, documentation is very important in HR.
Absolutely.
So I truly appreciate your views on this. So now I would like to know more about memorable experiences that you must had in your 13 years of career. So you could give probably 2-3 experiences where you felt proud that you are in HR or you were very happy about it.
Yeah, I think I would say that, somebody who's come from a regular management institute, not from a premier B school, you getting into such marquee organizations, when you look at the table that you're sharing with, right, you have people who have come across from premier institutes and you're at the same level that they are into. That in itself is a reflection of the journey that you have sort of traveled. At the same time, I'm somebody who's sitting in India, and right now I am getting an opportunity to be a geographical HR for regions like Europe, US, and getting to know policies or the processes that are involved in each of the regions. Every country comes with its different nuance, right? And getting an exposure sitting right here in India, that in itself, I would say, has been a career defining experience for me, and all thanks to my mentors who have been able to give me that sort of experience throughout my journey.
Sure. So would you like to give any example of a cultural shock that we used to learn in MBAs, Any example wherein just because someone else is from other culture and we didn't know about some probably customs or any cultural thing, and you got shocked, oh, what is it? So any such experience wherein because of different culture you perceived something else, anything of that sort?
I think the sheer clarity with the other country people come up with, they have absolutely clear cut thoughts of what they want to do, how they would want to differentiate their personal life from professional life. Because see, when you're growing up in India, as a management person, you're expected that, okay, fine, these are my initial years, I need to be slogging, putting in a lot of efforts. Now there is a lot of controversial topic that is happening right. In terms of 70 hours of working, 90 hours of working, right?
True.
But when you look outside, people are absolutely clear of what they want to do. Right? They have a demarcation of between professional life and personal life. I deal with a geography called as Spain. By Friday 3 p.m. they wind up their business. So you would not even see people around there. Right? They take time off rejuvenate themselves. I think in India, when you sort of do that, it is being looked upon in extremely negative way,
Yeah.
right? That you are going on leaves, you're taking a longer vacation. But I think there comes a burnout in time, and we should all respect this kind of stress we go through, what our body requires, and try and learn things from people in the other countries, saying that how we should be also looking at our own well-being. So I think that has been an experience for me, and that's something that I'm trying to learn from people that I meet from different cultures.
True, true. Okay, so this was about memorable experience or different experience, I would say. How about any experience where you regretted being in HR, or you felt it's really very difficult to sustain in HR because sometimes decisions are not taken by us, but we need to implement. Sometimes we need to take decisions and implement as well. So would you like to share any such experience?
Yeah, I would rather say not sometimes, all the times. The decisions are actually taken by the management.
Right.
And you actually walk a double-edged sword. On one edge of the sword, there is management. On the other edge of the sword, there is sort of, the employee that you have to look at, right? So it's very fine balance that you as an HR are expected to sort of manage. Yes, there are point in time wherein you feel that, I question myself. Did I did the right thing getting into the HR, or perhaps should I have shifted to marketing, wherein others around me have grown exponentially.
True.
But over the period of time, when I look at these 13 years, I think everybody has their own journey, and the choices that we make in the current scenario obviously defines our future. I don't say I would have any regrets as such. But there is a point in time as a human, we would compare things, right? But if you ask me at this point in time, do I have any regrets? The answer to that is absolutely no. I would, as I said in the past, in earlier as well, I'm absolutely proud of the decisions that I've taken.
So I'm completely with you, Shantesh, on this. Of course, long term, we don't feel that we don't regret being in HR, but definitely some moments come when we feel bad, or it gets difficult to keep going, right? Okay,
True.
so further to this, I would like to know the challenges that you faced in these 13 years and how did you overcome them?
I think the first and foremost challenge was to get into the corporate, right? Because as I said, you're somebody who's not from a premier institute that would easily get a job on the platter, right? Although there was something that came across my way while I was appearing for the campus interview, but by then I had a clarity of what really I want to do. I didn't want to get into recruitment. I wanted to get into generalist kind of a portfolio. So because you're already restricting yourself that what sort of role you want to play, and the fact that you want to get into a larger organization, that itself was a challenge. But I was lucky enough to get into Tata Business Support Services. And the other fact is that it doesn't just stop there. The journey in fact starts from there. The challenges start from there, because then you're constantly competing with people who have come from premier institute, who have come from extreme diverse backgrounds, and at all the point in time you're competing with them because somewhere you want to find that edge, or at least match up to what your peers are really, right? So the challenge is to get into the right set of organization, to get the right set of mentors who could shape your journey, and the third one is driving that journey and staying persistent to the entire aspect of learning and continuously contributing. I think these are some of the challenges that I have come across so far.
Right. So you articulated it so well. I'm with you, Shantesh, on this. So next segment is about career growth and development. So according to you, what are the skills? When I say skills, it could be soft skills or technical skills. And what are the behavioral aspects that one needs to have to become successful in HR? And how did you acquire those skills? And
I would say you learn to swim only when you dive into the water, right? It is about you being open to any and all opportunity that comes your way. That openness is important. That eagerness, that persistence to learn and continuously deliver. Right. I think that is what is extremely important as a quality. At the same time, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to acknowledge some of the vulnerability that you will go through this entire journey, staying true to yourself, at the same time being hungry to learn, being curious and having this inquisitiveness. These are some of the things that I would say one must really have, and these are some of the qualities that I myself have sort of imbibed in myself.
Okay, so there was one more sub question to in this question. So it was about how important is it to have a MBA degree. But more than that, if you have spoken about differentiation between Premier B school and normal B school, what are your views on someone who is not having a degree at all and still they are doing a career in HR? We see such colleagues probably in few industries at least. I'm not sure about the company where you are working currently or where you worked in past, but I've seen such colleagues who don't have an MBA degree and they're still doing a career in HR. So what is the importance of that MBA HR degree according to you?
I would say MBA sort of prepares you for corporate to a large extent, because when you are taking MBA as a course, you go through a lot of industrial visits, you meet across a lot of industry experts who actually come across deliver talks. You have this extended summer internship for about 2 months which gives you an on the job kind of an experience. So it doesn't let you start from zero if you're entering the corporate. Maybe let's say you start from 10. But is it the most important thing? Maybe perhaps not, because people around me who have not even taken an MBA degree are much more accomplished and successful in their journey. So I wouldn't really say that that is the only defining moment.
Okay.
But yes, there is certain edge that you would definitely achieve if you have an MBA degree. So it's like this. What do I choose for myself? Do I choose the hard journey of not having the degree and learning everything at a go, or do I start with that 10 and then make a mark for myself? I think that's the only difference if you ask me.
Okay. Now there is one more sub question that has come to my mind. There are two paths people take, those who take HR degree. There are some who take some experience, maybe 2-3 years of experience, and then they go for a degree when they have the experience. So they know a bit of corporate, they know how companies work, they know how businesses work, and then they go for the degree. So probably they can relate to the theory as well in a better way. And then they continue their career. Or maybe another set of employees, I would say, like us, who did their MBA and then they started their career. So do you think any of these options would better than the other? Anything of that sort?
I would say it's purely personal, right?
Okay.
If you sort of have that cushion wherein you can work for some years and then go for your studies again back, right? It is very difficult once you've started working and then going back to academics. I personally found it difficult for myself.
Okay.
So hats off to those who have been able to do that. But I think, you can adjust your career journey basis the person's scenario as well. As per me, speaking personally, I didn't have that cushion wherein I could work for some time and then go back to academics and then switch back to corporate.
Okay.
So I would say the journey starts from zero whenever you begin in the corporate, because every day is a new experience, especially in this field of human resources, because we deal with people. So because we deal with people from different backgrounds, cultures, every discussion, every interaction, every aspect that you find always starts from zero. So it really doesn't matter if you are somebody who's worked earlier and then gone for MBA, or did MBA and got into job. So it is human aspect which is extremely dynamic.
Okay.
I think we all need to be acceptable to that fact.
Okay. So not much relevant whether what you do first.
Yeah,
basically.
I wouldn't really think so that there is much of a difference there.
Okay. So Shantesh, how do you stay current when you are doing a job, such a hectic job, I must say, wherein you put in 12 hours, 14 hours a day? That is what I could say, like when we were interacting for this podcast, I got to know about your schedule, and it's such a hectic schedule. So how do you manage, how do you take out time to keep yourself updated about what is happening in industry, what are the latest trends, and as an HR professional, you also need to be updated. That is also
Absolutely.
one of the important aspect. So how do you manage that?
I think the biggest blessing that we have got is the technology, right? Information is available at your fingertips.
Right.
It could be on your mobile phone, it could be on your tablet or a laptop. Having the right set of resources is extremely important. As per me, I'm somebody not who would read a lot of books and all.
Okay.
But we are into the digital age, right? Having this information at fingertips really helps. So at a quick spur of a moment, you can see what's really happening in the world, what's really happening in the industry. There are multiple platforms that are available. Podcasts like this, there are multiple people who are doing. You can not necessarily that everything you have to do to learn. You can learn from others' experiences as well, that you can hear through various forums. It could be a video podcast, it could be something that is audio visual that is available to you, it could be any YouTube video or a LinkedIn post that is available. See, there are multiple avenues that you have today, right? It's an information age. So I think that is biggest boon for me as an HR, because there is very less time for you to sort of look at other aspects. But whenever I get time, I switch to this platform and ensure that I'm updated with a lot of things, and not just the HR field. If you ask me, my own personal interest lies in geopolitical scenarios. What's really happening in the social economic environment, right? Because you have to be you have to stay updated with current trends, not just in your own industry or in your own field, but what's really happening around you.
Right.
So it's important that you are very conscious of what's really happening in your surroundings, and something that you are able to relate back to your work, to the discussion that you would have with people that you would meet across in different walks of life.
So our next segment is about leadership and mentorship, Shantesh. So can you name or can you list some qualities that a leader should possess irrespective of the domain?
The first and foremost quality that a leader should embody in themselves is empathy.
Okay.
Staying empathetic to the people that they talk to, and the people that they interact with. It could be their own peers, their team members. At the same time, a leader should walk the talk, not just sit in an ivory tower and talk about some strategies and not display it on the ground or through their actions. So it's important that you walk the talk, having a clear cut, transparent conversation with the team members, so that they are absolutely aware what needs to be done and what are some of the things that is expected out of them. That fuels up their motivation. At the same time, you are being seen somebody as who has been able to have a clear cut conversation. The idea is very clear of what really you have it in your mind and what you want to achieve together as a team. I think these are some of the things that a leader should have as a quality amongst themselves.
Amazing. So you put it in a very short and nice way. 2-3 things are very important for a leader, I feel. My next question to you is about mentorship. So have you experienced anything like mentor-mentee relationship wherein you were either a mentor or a mentee, and would you like to share it with us?
Mentors are your guiding light, right?
Right.
As I said, you don't go through a lot of experience on your own, but it is through those small acts that gets touched in your life, right?
Sure.
And one of the things, my first month in the corporate job, right? And I overheard her conversation. She was telling to somebody else in the HR department itself that, it happened to be in domestic BPO kind of a setup, right?
Right.
And Sapna ma'am was telling to somebody else saying that, what, we should be really empathetic to people. We should give them a patient hearing and be very nice to them when we are speaking to them, because these are people who are making calls, inbound and outbound calls. It's a BPO setup, right? You get irritated when you get a call, right? You end up yelling at them, you end up giving bad words, foul language, all sorts of that. So these are the people who has to go through all of these calls throughout the day. And ma'am said this interesting thing that, if we also behave negatively with them, what are they even taking into the day, right? So that thing sort of stayed with me for a very long time. Even today, when I talk to any person in the team or in my organization, empathy is what I really look forward to. And I say that that's something that you can do to touch their lives, because as an HR you come across. Another example that I would want to quote is the fact that I learned this quality of servant leadership from one of my directors from Cognizant. He said that I don't want to dictate anything, but I would want to be a servant leader. And it was a new term for me. I was like, what does servant leadership really mean? And the way he beautifully explained that concept, that also stayed with me for a very long time. Because of these experiences, when I became a manager, I was sort of able to coach my team members in the right way. There was a team member who was really struggling with his performance, and because of this right conditioning that I had got from my mentors, I was able to deliver that back to the individual, right? And it's all about giving back to what you've learned. So I think being a mentor and a mentee is extremely important in your success story of corporate. At any point in time, you should be able to downgrade yourself as a mentee, listen to others, leaders, being open to their feedback. At the same time, when an opportunity strikes, you should stand up for your team and be that guide to the team member and help them to shape their career journey.
Amazing experiences, Shantesh. And again, I would say we are lucky that we got an opportunity to work with Sapna ma'am. But it is again, I would like to appreciate you remember those lessons, you remember the instances, and like till today you acknowledge. So I
Absolutely.
really appreciate Shantesh. So I would like to know your views about Gen Z.
I would say that there is a time for us as an organization to look at the needs of Gen Z, right? What is something that they really want? I was going through this video, wherein the person beautifully explained the concept of various revolutions that we are into. He spoke about the industrial revolution, the information revolution, and the current digital or social revolution, right? It went about having roti kapda and makan to having standard of living. Now we are in the age of quality of living. So the Gen Z that we are talking about are really not looking for roti kapda and makan.
True.
They are not really looking for the standard of living. What they're looking for is quality of living, quality of work that they do, quality of exposure that they get, quality of rewards that you're able to bring up to them, right? I think these are the people from whom we can learn a lot, because they come with a different sort of mindset, because they don't really have to start from scratch building their entire journey. They already have something that's already been built by their grandparents for that roti kapda and makan. Their parents have taken care of the basic necessities. Now is a point wherein they come up with the right frame of mind, asking the right questions, defining what's really required to be done, what something really doesn't make sense. They're able to challenge the status quo. I think as an organization, we need to change the way we work across and be adaptable, because see, this is the future of work, right? So Gen Z will define of how your next generation will basically evolve in the corporate fraternity. So I think it's important for us to acknowledge the fact that yes, they are different, but at the same time, what is something that we can bring to for them as a quality of life? So I think there's a lot of things to learn for from the Gen Z for us.
Right. So it's more about what we do with them that is more important, and the way we look at probably their traits or their approaches is
Absolutely.
more important.
Absolutely.
Sure. Now the next segment, Shantesh, is more about know how it feels being like HR. So HR is not heard many times, so this is the platform for you, and you can tell us how it feels being like HR. So first question I would like to ask you about mental health. Again, mental health of HR is not much discussed. What I feel is for rest of the employees, HR is there to listen. So most of the times, even though we don't give them any solution, even if we listen to their problems and we empathize them, maybe their 80% problem is solved, even though we don't give them solution. But it commonly doesn't happen with HR. That is what my observation is. And then we take that baggage to our home, that we take that baggage to in our personal lives, and probably sometimes we can't even discuss that in our with our family also, because they may not be able to relate what we are going through. So all of this affects our mental health. So what is your experience, and how do you overcome, or how do you ensure your well-being?
I think, Deepa, thanks for bringing that aspect. I think the dynamics become slightly more tricky when you're in HR and when you're in male HR, right? Because first of all, there is this social stigma with men around, right?
Right.
Around how you sort of conduct yourself, how you behave in the society. Plus, when you're in HR, there is an added, difficulty into that entire aspect.
Right.
But yes, it's a sad reality that not a lot has been spoken about the mental health of the HR, the kind of stress that you have to go through. Just imagine sitting across and purely listening to a person of how they are going through a difficult phase, maybe in their professional journey or a personal journey, and you do these conversations day in and day out, right? There is a point in time that you also have this stress levels, so to say, that mental depression. And unfortunately, not a lot is being done, but I do see organizations which have now acknowledged the fact that yes, even HRs are human beings and their mental health also matters. So I'm really proud of those organizations who have actually stepped on this opportunity, and now they are actually thinking about it. But it is very important for us as an HR professionals to detox ourselves, to stay disconnected, take those breaks, maybe go for some drive, because that's my way of doing things whenever I'm stressed out or into hearing a lot of negative stories and I want to re-energize myself. I straight away hit the road, right? And I just drive, and this sort of gives me a lot of break from those stress. So find out what is something that gives you break? Maybe listening to nice music, maybe, meeting people across, traveling. Find out what is that something that makes you stress free. And I would say that, practice on your own without being dependent on anybody else. Organizations are now stepping up, but let's not really be dependent on them, and let's work on ourselves, because we are HRs. We are supposed to run the show. So let's step on that.
So true. So basically focus on me time, like whatever you
Absolutely.
wish to do, whatever is your hobby, maybe focus on that and give that time to your hobby, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Shantesh, when you open LinkedIn and you see HR memes, what is your reaction? What is your first reaction?
When I started my journey in HR, I took a lot of offense. Let me be brutally honest about it. Right?
Okay.
I was like, why are these people behind HRs? We've not done anything wrong to them. Why are they making fun of us? We've become like a laughing stock.
Right.
And I used to reply back to them. And there was to be a huge chain that we used to debate, and all sorts of conversations would happen. But I think over the period of time, I have started to take things lightly. There's a lot of stress already. There are a lot of negative things in our life. Why not to just laugh it out, right? I also sometimes enjoy this, and I've started, taking it lightly. Humor is required in our lives. Why not to just laugh it off and brush it off? Because people who are posting these memes also, they also need break. Yeah? I go back to, I'm a very filmy guy, by the way. I go back to the Anil Kapoor's dialogue in one of the movies which says, "Bolne de, bichare ko takleef hua hai." You never know. Maybe that's something is their way of venting out their stress.
Right.
Why not to just acknowledge that fact and laugh it out about it? And trust me, there are some really creative people out there who bring amazing set of memes, especially in the HR as well. So I really enjoy them at
You
times.
enjoy them.
Absolutely.
Shantesh, have you ever experienced someone saying to you that HR is a cost center, and your views on it?
Yes, I think, throughout my experience, I've had moments wherein maybe for whatever ask that you had, you being told that you're a cost center. But I'm proud that organizations have now started realizing that HR is not just a cost center. They own a seat on the table which makes business decisions. I personally know of organizations who have now introduced business goals into the HR's, GNOs, or the goals and objectives. I think we are all evolving. The corporates are also evolving. At the same time, we also have to acknowledge the fact that we have to stay relevant to the business,
Right.
ensure that we are able to deliver that aspect with this double-edged sword, obviously, that we spoke about earlier. Things are changing, and I think, it's a gradual change. We will get to a point wherein, HR across all of the organizations will be looked upon as somebody who's a strategic partner and not just a cost center. I personally have been part of these organizations who have actually shaped my career journey as an HR, who is more into the strategic environment of it, and being able to be part of the strategic decisions and the key decisions of the business.
Further to this, do you think HR is a thankless job, Shantesh?
On some days, a blue moon, let's all agree and accept the fact that yes, there are times that you feel that, I have struggled so much, I have made ends meet into the organization, there were some key things that I have done, and eventually I don't get anything in return. But I think when you look at it into that moment, maybe you get that feeling. I would say move from a longer perspective. Perhaps whatever thing that has happened now, look at it after 6 months time down the line, or maybe a year down the line. I'm sure you would not find this feeling at that point in time. Currently, we are all human beings. We go through a lot of emotions. At certain point, we get influenced. It's a very spontaneous feeling.
Right.
But I would say at that point in time, we need to tell ourselves, maybe let's look at it after 6 months. Things would have been different, right? And mark my words, you will definitely feel that, it's not thankless. You are able to touch lives. You are able to influence people and make things better, not just for the organization, but also for the employee whom you are talking to.
Right. So, in long run, definitely it would be acknowledged.
Absolutely.
And, apart from acknowledge, I think even we get that satisfaction, irrespective
True.
of someone is acknowledging it or not. We ourselves feel good about it, and I think that is more important. That is what we should focus on.
Absolutely. I completely agree with Deepa.
Okay. And have you faced this dilemma wherein management says you are taking employees' side all the time, and you are putting across their points, and when you go to employees, they say he is a management representative. So have you faced such situation, and how do you handle?
I think that's a dilemma that every HR day in and day faces, right, in their scenarios. I would say what defines you as a strong HR person is to have that clarity. Where is your allegiance, right? Whether your allegiance is towards the employees or whether your allegiance is towards the management. My answer to that would be your allegiance should always be to the organization and its success. What is best to the organization? Because when you think about your allegiance towards an organization, you're able to think from a more rational perspective. You're not influenced by what's really happening, who's saying what. You're able to define what's really good for the employee, what's really good for the organization as well. If you sort of take out from that situation of yourself, then I think you'll be in a much more better shape and place to make those decisions. I always find this, theory of zoom in and zoom out extremely relevant, right? When you zoom in too much into it, you're not able to really focus on the surroundings. You don't get the larger picture.
Right.
I would say whenever you're into such a fix of, who's thinking what side you're onto, just zoom out, and then that will give you a larger picture, and that will make you take better decisions, which will be beneficial for both the parties.
I like this view, Shantesh, that it's not management, it's not employees, it's organization end of the day that matters. And
Absolutely.
we'll move to our next segment, Shantesh, that is lessons learned, advice and experience sharing. So in this journey of 13 years, what were your lessons that you learned hard way, and what is it that you would like to share today with our viewers, wherein they can get benefited from the lessons that you learned? Probably someone who is just starting a career would know what could happen to him or her, and they can be prepared for that.
I think some of the most important lessons that I've learned throughout this 13 years of my journey, meeting people across every walk of life, is to stay humble, right? That is what will define your journey as an individual, because titles will come and go, organization names will come and go, but what really defines you is the character that you build for yourself. So the more humble that you stay, the more receptive you are to the feedback. You are able to then relate to what people are saying, how you should shape your journey, and that will be my honest advice to people, that no matter what designation that you land upon, no matter what position that you reach, right, always stay humble, stay grounded, be hungry to learn, take every opportunity that gets thrown your way, right? Because there is enough and more opportunity that comes your way. It is about how receptive you are to those. And trust me, the minute you make yourself receptive, success is just waiting at the doorsteps. So ensure that you take all those opportunities to learn, to exhibit those qualities that you sort of develop yourself. These are some of the most important learnings that I have personally learned from my journey of 13 years.
And I can vouch for it, Shantesh, that I can see those qualities, what you're saying. It's not you're just saying, it's not you're just preaching them about, you should do this and that. I can experience. I'm meeting you after many years, and still I can see the same Shantesh who was there when he joined as a fresher. And today at this level also, you are the same Shantesh. So amazing job, Shantesh. And I'm really proud of your achievements, your milestones that you achieved. I feel proud of you, Shantesh.
Thank you, Deepa. That means a lot. Coming from somebody who's been a senior to me all this while, this feedback means a lot. And I would say that these are some of the things are more important than any award that basically can speak about, right? So really, thank you for those compliments. Those means a lot.
Okay, so we would conclude this podcast with recent trends or practices that you would like to speak about today. It could be either from your industry, specific to your industry, or anything else that you would like to speak about.
I think the buzzword right now, as we all know, is AI, right? No matter whether you are in IT industry or you are in any other industry, artificial intelligence is driving the world around, right? And it is the age that we have to sort of be receptive to it, and also take advantage of the technology landscape that is there. No longer as an HR you are required to sort of answer those queries to what is my leave balance, I'm not able to apply for leaves, what happens there, I'm not able to find an X stuff, Y stuff, I have certain query on the X policy, Y policy. Tools are getting built which can take out all of these transactional activities from an HR. This gives you an opportunity to focus more from the business partnering or a strategic HR. You could play that role across. Start reading financial reports of your own business unit, of the organizations. Look at the industry, how it is really looking at, because everything revolves around data. And there is enough and more data that is being fed into artificial intelligence. You have to basically adapt to that, take that information, and trust me, you have to be a storyteller, right? Because information is available everywhere. My humble request to everybody would be to be a storyteller. Take that information, how you make use of that is extremely important. Generative AI is the reality of today. No longer need to strive to composing, is my email tone setting right, am I framing the right words, because at a click of a button all of these things are being now looked upon at, right? So focus away from all of these transaction activities, think more from a business standpoint, understand what sort of business unit is it, how are we making the clients understand our landscape, what all different things can we bring as an organization, how you can participate on the decision making table from an HR standpoint, right? So these are some of the most important things that you can do with the help of technology. And with the right set of data, you will be able to establish yourself as a strategic HR partner, and not just to say just for that. You can actually display that across with the right set of information available through artificial intelligence, generative AI that we talk about. So that's the reality and that's the future.
Well said, Shantesh. Okay, so now we have one funny rapid fire. Most of the questions here are funny, so take it on a lighter note.
Just like the HR memes, I would say.
Yeah, sure. What is more difficult, calling employees for Fun Friday activity or calling candidates for interviews?
I would say calling people for Fun Friday activities.
Okay.
Because calling candidates for interviews, there is a vested interest, because the person is also interested to look for a job. But getting them out from their active line of work and having them play some games, all of a sudden on a Friday, HR says, okay, chalo, let's play this game. I think that's one of the most difficult things. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and which department is most difficult to deal with? Is it admin or is it finance?
You ask any HR, I think the answer would be common. It is finance, right?
It is finance.
It is extremely difficult to get something out of finance, and you have to give 100 stories to basically take out the simplest form of things. Of course, they also have their own KRA and the way they come across from a department. But yeah, finance is extremely difficult to get something out of it, more than the admin part of it.
What's more tedious, labor laws or reading employees' mind?
Tedious is reading employees' minds, definitely.
Okay. What HR judges in an interview? Your relevant experience or suitability to fit in organization culture?
See, culture is a very broad aspect.
Okay.
But today, if I have to interview somebody and if I have to take a call, it would be on the cues that an individual would give me, that I am willing to learn, I'm willing to I'm receptive to the feedbacks, I have that hunger, that fire in my belly. If you have that, aptitude is something that you can build over the period of time.
Okay.
While character is something which is extremely difficult to bring upon. If a candidate is able to tell me through his responses that, I meet the culture of the organization, right? I think my checkbox is sort of taken care of, right?
Okay.
Because there is enough and more resources in the organization which can help them to come up to scale in terms of the aptitude.
Okay.
But attitude is something that, it's an innate thing that the person brings in.
Okay, and last question. When you were a candidate appearing interviews, what was the most difficult question? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or why should I hire you?
I would say, where do you see yourself after 5 years?
So that was just for the fun. And Shantesh, I really appreciate that you came here on this show. And it was a wonderful time and amazing experiences that you shared. And I really appreciate. Also, I'm very happy to see you growing. So all the best. And thank you so much. You are a rock star, I must say.
Thank you. Thank you for those humble words, Deepa. I've thoroughly enjoyed these conversations, and I hope that this podcast that reaches your viewers will have an ounce of knowledge for them across. And for all those people watching this, Talent Vibes, keep watching this space, because you'll have a lot of leaders coming your way and sharing their own individual journeys. So all the best to you and your channel, Deepa. I hope that it really goes distance and makes a mark for itself in this social or a digital age. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, Deepa.
Thank you, Shantesh, for your wishes. And viewers, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to our channel, share with your friends, and see you next week. Thank you.